Hello, everyone. On September the 10th, we are going to have another very interesting configuration, very similar to the one that I explained a couple of days ago. But this time it is Vesta in Libra that you can see, not Venus. A couple of days ago it was Venus that was in that position. And before we are going to decipher this trapeze and angel wing, let me talk to you about Vesta as the archetype. As you know, planetary deities are both archetypes and principles. So they are main principles that they are carrying, but at the same time they are also playing a role as archetypes. And Vesta, which was discovered in 1804, which is in the year 1804, and it's the fourth of the asteroids. The four main asteroids were discovered between 1801 and 1804, and for a while they remained not dwarf planets but minor planets, minor family planets. That was the official layer for almost 40 years. And only when Austria, the fifth one, was discovered, this is when their official naming changed from minor planet to asteroid. And Vesta is a very wounded feminine archetype because it went through many transformations. Some were very, very difficult and painful. And there was one occasion actually linked to the Druids, which was a little bit better. So it was there was a little renaissance for Vesta, if there was such if there's such a thing. But mostly Vesta is a very wounded archetype. Let's see what it was at the very beginning. At the very beginning, it was the High Priestess for the creator goddess, and her main role was to help meet the creator goddess with any man that she has chosen for this task. I'm not going to beat around the bush. It was a sexual ritual where she has the High Priestess chose a man, and with him she performed a sexual intercourse by which the chosen man met the goddess. It's very, very similar to what we saw in Mesopotamia, Inanna and Dumuzi, or Ishtar and Tammuz were the pairs that played the role. So the goddess actually went into like a vehicle. She used the High Priestess, and Dumuzi or Tammuz was often played by the current ruler, so the monarch. And so it was a sacred marriage, a hieros gamos, which enabled the fertility of the land, the prosperity of the peoples. It was a very important ritual. But later on in Greek times, the whole process was deemed as an ugly and horrible thing, like a disgusting, horrible thing. And very interestingly, those who have a prominent Vesta, but also afflicted one, they are often rape victims, and especially gang rape victims. So it does show some ugly connotations as well. But let's see the Vesta changing. So how the archetype has changed over the centuries. In Greek times, she became Hestia's priestess, and she has had two roles. First of all, she was a temple prostitute. So from the very sacred, it went to the very profane. And at the same time, Hestia was the keeper of the hearth, the flame. And often the women went into the temple of Hestia to light the fire, and they brought it home. So it was also the keeper of the hearth and the sacred flame. In Roman times, Vesta became the Vestal Virgin, and these girls were selected at the age of 6, and they were serving the temple until they turned 30, after which they could marry, of course, and they were very cherished wives. But at the same time, think about it, for 24 years they served the temple and they had to remain a virgin. And of course, if they didn't remain a virgin, it came out because they carried a child, and they were buried alive. So those with serious claustrophobia may have such lives, may have had such lives, and may consider trying to find healing for it, because it's a very, very difficult death, and especially because these were very young women, and of course men were never punished, only women were punished. The next stage is sometime, this is a good one, sometime around the Druidian times. So she was the high priestess of the Druid, the Lady of the Lake, who actually, she was the keeper of the dimension portal in Glastonbury. And she was very, very highly cherished, and it was an important role. But it didn't last too long, because when the Druids embraced the Roman Christians who were fleeing Rome of persecution and found their home in the British Isles, a couple of years later, a couple of 200 years later, of course, when Christianity became very strong, they simply banished the Druids, the Druid faith. So be careful who you allow into your country and who you allow to use and utilize your space, because you might be surprised. Anyhow, the next stage is, of course, the nunneries, and there the nuns had to serve Jesus Christ. They had to become his bride, so to speak, and they served Jesus Christ until their last minutes. So they remained within the nunnery for the moment, from the moment they entered until they died. So it was a lifelong service, and totally isolated from the outside world. And today's Vesta is the woman who is not going to marry anyone, who is not going to bear children, who wants to keep the sacred flame within herself, because she has a goal. Because as a principle, Vesta is the tunnel vision. It denotes tunnel vision, and something that can be described by the process that I chose to concentrate on something by excluding everything else. So take a look at your Vesta in your horoscope, and the house placement is very important, because where Vesta is placed in your horoscope, that is the house where you can actually concentrate solely and exclusively on those particular issues. And there's one interesting placement which I should mention, which is Vesta on the ascendant. If it's very close to the ascendant, within 1 degree, either from the 12th house or from the first house, she becomes, the bearer becomes the high priestess. And in this case, Vesta is concentrating on her own pathway. And these people are very often unable to concentrate on anything else but themselves. It's not really selfishness, it's just tunnel vision. They want to stay on their pathway, or they want to keep the flame for themselves. And this simply doesn't allow them to actually look into anyone else and share their experience with anyone else. It could be quite good, but at the same time, it could be very lonely. But they choose to be lonely, these people. So let's go back to our little configuration. And if you look at it, it is really a trapeze involving Vesta, the Vesta-Pluto Aries cardinal T-square, where Vesta actually allows you to focus on both drastically altered outward circumstances and transformation, how to transform under such circumstances. And Vesta is making a trine with Jupiter, which is the priest, the high priest and the high priestess are uniting in an air trine. Air is the element of thinking. And the Astrea Aries trine is still very, very tight. The two karma breaking principles. Aries is drastically altered outward circumstances, while Astrea is the personal karma breaker. And the fire trine is important because fire is the element of transformation. And then you have this little angel wing on top of the trapeze. And this signifies a very interesting notion. This is how I translate it, because trapezes by definition serve you if you want to show off, if you want to produce something for the outside world, if you want to show either your talent or your abilities or your knowledge, and you step on top, which is actually a sextile, so there are possibilities. You may utilize the sides, which means how you get to the top, are also sextiles. So all you need to do is look for those possibilities, those chances, and utilize them. But then once you are on top of the stage, so to speak, then angel wings may carry you to fame, to understanding, to success. And the top of the angel wing, just like the top of the apex of the T-square, is Pluto. And Pluto is about transformation. So it's a time to transform on every level, especially in your personal level. And if you have placements at 25 degrees of the signs, this is where you can utilize it best. But everyone else who is willing to concentrate on personal transformation, and this is what you should do really. You can't save the world. There's no such thing as humanity. It's not a huge mass of people. No, you can change and transform on your personal level. And this is alchemy. This is personal alchemy. And this is exactly what you may do with this configuration. Bye-bye.